welcome everyone. My name is Lowell. I'm the head of operations here at Streak. I'll let Andrew introduce himself real quickly as well.
Good morning or afternoon. Question tab is on the bottom right. Raymond, question tab is on the bottom right corner. There's like a bar on the bottom of this, and it should be next to chat. My name is Andrew. I have been using Streak since 2014, and I work on the customer team.
Awesome. And yeah, I have been using Streak for the past 3 years or so. And today we're going to be talking about how you can automate your pipeline to avoid stale boxes. So kind of hoping to accomplish that little meme there on the right, helping you send those follow-up emails and hoping they don't end with a leave me alone. But yeah, quick agenda before we get started is we're going to talk a little bit about why you should care about this, why follow-ups are important. Then we're going to do an overview of the features we're going to chat about, which are kind of those three that you see there below next to the emojis. So it's tasks, save views, and automations. And then we'll leave some time for questions at the end, but kind of, yeah, as we mentioned, if you have any questions as we're going through, please just throw them in the chat there. Cool. So why is this important? I went to Reddit, which is where I go for most things these days, and went to, I think it was like a sales subreddit, cold email, customer success, kind of things like that, to see what people were saying about following up with their prospects, their leads, their customers. And so you can read some of those there. I think kind of some of the most like salient or important ones were the second one from the top right there about sending 3 phone calls, 3 emails, a LinkedIn message, and a voicemail is what it takes to follow up. Or even the one on the bottom left there, that 80% of sales are made on the 5th through 12th contact. So we're not necessarily advocating that you need to follow up with someone 12 times, but we want to teach you the tools at Streak that can help you follow up, 2-3 times and do so effectively. So those 3 features that I think Streak features that I think can help you follow up are tasks, save views, and automations. And kind of going from the top there to the bottom, those are from what can be highly custom follow-ups to highly scalable follow-ups, I'd say. So I'll talk briefly here about a few pros and cons of each, and then we're going to go into depth about how you can actually use them, where in the product you find them, and maybe some tips and tricks of each. So again, tasks are just that. They're reminders to do something that we've built into Streak. They're great for like highly customized outreach, and they're also great because we've embedded them into multiple parts of the product and multiple parts of your Google experience. So when you create a task, it can show up on your calendar, in your email, and also in the box, kind of nudging you there to make sure you follow up. The downside of tasks might be that they're not super scalable. A lot of the time you're creating them individually, and you're having to do that follow-up individually, which is why it's great for that super custom follow-up that you might need. Save views are kind of a nice in-between ground between tasks and automations, I think. They're still highly customized because they give you kind of a high-level view of all the follow-up that you might need to do in a day. And so it can give you, that high-level view of all the tasks that need to be done. You still need to follow up individually, which can be a good thing because you can do that highly customized follow-up, but sometimes they can slip through cracks if you forget to do them yourself. And then automation.
Sorry, Lowell, I actually don't know how to, sorry to interrupt, but a couple of people did say, how do we max the screen with text?
Let me see if I can zoom in a little. Is that helping at all? Not yet. One sec, me. If I do that, is that any better?
Chat says pitch deck should be spotlight, click full screen at the bottom for what it's worth. Salima says yes.
Display full screen makes it bigger. That maybe? Nope. We're going to keep there. Oh, perfect. All right. Sorry, folks. And if I do that, does that still work? What's the chat saying, Andrew?
Good. Perfect.
Good.
Okay. Thank you, Lowell.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for interrupting. So save views, kind of that middle ground between tasks and automations. And then automations are, as the name would suggest, highly automated. They are reliable and repeatable, and they're super scalable. So you're not going to be able to do kind of that fine-tuned customization that you might with tasks, but you can scale them. And kind of the nice thing about automations is they don't forget like us humans. They don't go on PTO. They don't realize they forgot to pick up little Susie at soccer practice at 4 p.m. And so they're always going to get sent when they're supposed to get sent. And kind of along with that, you get the analysis that you can do on kind of a high volume of follow-ups. So you can see, oh, it's actually this third follow-up that's most effective, or it's the one that I'm sending Friday morning that seems to get the best response rate versus the one Tuesday morning, something like that. And so just a final call out here on these. The tasks and saved views are available on all Streak plans. Our native integrations and automations are only available on our Pro Plus and Enterprise plans. Cool, so I wanted to go through where you'd find each of these features in the product. So I'm gonna share this screen briefly, and then we're gonna actually dive into Streak itself and walk through it. So tasks, again, are those kind of reminders for follow-ups. You can create multiple tasks in a single box in Streak. You can create multiple tasks across boxes. They're again customizable themselves. You can access them from a few points within the product that we'll get to. And again, they're just a reminder there. You can set due dates, you can set assignees, or you can choose to do neither. You can kind of keep them as custom or as not, as you might like. All right, let's hop into Streak here. So this is a pipeline for my marketing agency. As you can see, a sales pipeline for my marketing agency. So if I hop into this box on Costco, let's say, I have this follow-up button right here. And this is the place where I personally like to create tasks from most frequently. So I just click follow-up. I can select some of these pre-selected due date options, or I could type one myself or find it from the calendar picker here. I'm just going to say I want this due next Monday at 8 a.m. And what's nice about this is it knows that the last email I had from in this box was from Partner Setup, which is the name of the account. And so it says follow up with Partner Setup. It's smart enough to know that that's the person I'd like to be following up with. Of course, we can customize this. More than that, you can select a different assignee other than myself, which is right here. You can do a lot more than this, but that's kind of the basic of how to create a task. And then let's say it's Monday morning and I did this, I can check it off as done. Yeah, that's one place. You can also do them here. And so I could say, check in on the quote. And then I could just say, turn this into a task. And you see it created a task right here as well. You can also see, I think my face may be blocking it, but there's a list of my upcoming tasks here down on the bottom right as well. Okay, I'm gonna pause there. Were there any questions on tasks specifically before we jump into save views? Anything you weren't able to get to in the chat, Andrew?
Yeah, I was over here answering questions in the questions tab. Let me take a quick peek. I think we're good on tasks.
Great. All right. Let me switch back. Cool. And then save views. So this is the one that's, again, in that kind of middle ground between highly customized follow-up, but still scalable and gives you a bit better overview of what you might need to do in a day or in a week, for example. So this GIF here in the top right is walking you through our save view editor. Basically, it's Streak's way of filtering is kind of how I like to describe it. So as you can see, the GIF is going through, maybe I only want to look at boxes that were created after a certain date. You can also do some cool things with grouping to better visualize your boxes. You don't necessarily have to visualize them by stage. Maybe you want to break up you're a sales manager, let's say, and you want to see all the tasks that are due by certain sales reps, or all the follow-up that's due rather by each sales rep on your team. You can do that with save views. All right, so I'm going to jump in here to my pipeline and show you all how to create a save view. So the first place to start is in this save view editor here, this kind of triangle filter button right here. And then again, as the GIF was showing, we get to walk through which column we want to filter by first. So let's say I want to filter by stage. I'm only going to be looking, I have this nice needs follow-up stage that I already created for my sales pipeline. So I'm going to say it must be any of those. And then let's say that's all I wanted to do. I would just click apply. And as you can see, my save view gets created, and it's only showing stages in the need, or boxes in the need follow-up stage. I would then save it as a new save view. I can give it a name. And we're going to do that because my save view, let's say, there's one little trick I want to show you right here called show an inbox. And what's great about this is if I click this button, it's always going to appear at the top of my inbox. So each morning, I would see the very first thing, these boxes that need follow-up. I already did a little bit more of an in-depth needs follow-up here. So these are my save views that I created. So you can create, as many save views as you like, and they'll always show up here under your pipeline. One thing I wanted to point out, a good thing that I like to do with save views that I am using to make sure I follow up with leads is this date of last email magic column. So here I'm only looking at the boxes that have an email before 7 days ago. So basically just filtering to the ones that I haven't been in touch with in the last week, because those are probably the boxes that I should be following up with. They're starting to go stale. They're starting to forget about my marketing agency. So I want to remind myself that I should be checking in with them. And so then those will automatically update. Maybe as I follow up with Tom here at the bottom, it's going to fall out of that save view. Cool. Okay, we'll pause there. Any questions on how we use save views here at Streak and how some of our customers use save views, or how to create them or anything like that?
Yeah, we got a couple. Mary asked, I have a question. I'm always hesitant to do an automation follow-up because how does the system know if the person has or has not responded to my initial message?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're actually going to cover that in one of the last two slides. So I'll have you hold on that one real quick because we're going to get to that next. Cool. Okay, we'll go ahead and jump into that then. All right, so automations were the last of those kind of Streak features we use to stay on top of follow-ups. This is a fairly new feature within the last couple of years here at Streak, but definitely one of our most popular now. So these two screens that I'm showing you here are what you'll see when you first start creating an integration or an automation. We've broken them down into some commonly used categories. So we're not going to talk about these today, but there are other future Streak classes that I would encourage you check out on how you can automate your mail merges. We're going to touch on that a little bit, I guess, but there's another Streak class that goes a bit deeper on it. You can also do things like get notified in Slack. Let's say whenever you moved a box to closed one, you can even capture incoming leads from Typeform or Google Form or any other form builder you might have on your website. So these are kind of some pre-created templates that we have. Then over here on the right is where you can just see all of your integrations or your automations that either you yourself have created in the Mind tab or your team has created. And you can kind of see how frequently they're running, whether they're active or not. Yeah, just a good overview of what's existing already. Cool, so let's dive in and actually create one. So I'm going to go back to my pipeline view here that we were looking at previously, and where you access all your integrations and automations are from this three-dot menu. So if I click on that, go to integrations and automation. Try and move this box. The templates we're going to start from today are automate repetitive tasks. So we'll click on that. And then, as the title of the presentation might suggest, the move stale boxes to another stage is the one we're going to start with. So this is great because it kind of gets me off the ground with a couple of steps already without me having to create it from scratch. So all of our integrations and automations run off a trigger and an action-based system. So the trigger is this first step here that says when, and the action is the thing that says then. So you always just have one trigger to start your automation, and then you can have as few as one action or as many as you'd like to add future actions. So the ones that we're going to do, the trigger we're going to start with is this box hasn't moved trigger step. And so that's basically saying if a box hasn't moved from a stage in a certain amount of time, then I want to do something. So when I first click into this field here, it says which stage do you want to take it from, basically. So I'm going to say if we haven't moved from the quoting stage. And then I'm going to say in an amount of time. So here I'm just going to say 2 days. And what's great is you can kind of type this in natural language. So I could type something like 2 weeks, 2 hours. You see it kind of accepts all those. This is great because I created this pipeline just kind of before this presentation. So you can see once I type in something that the trigger accepts, it has been there for 2 hours, then you can see some sample data here of this Apple box that has been in that stage for 2 hours. So we wouldn't probably use 2 hours in actuality. We'd probably use something like 2 days, but let's say we were using it just for that example. So when a box hasn't moved in 2 hours, it's time for me to follow up. I'm going to move it to another stage. So I'm going to move it to this needs follow-up stage. Great, that's cool because that kind of automated my pipeline a bit, but there's more I want to do here. I want to add another step, which is going to be, I'm going to add a task to the box. So I'm going to say, if I haven't touched this box in 2 days or something like that, then I want to add a task that is telling me to follow up. And you can add more description there or something like that. We can also give it a due date. So we can say, again, here we get some nice suggestions. Let's say we want to follow up in 3 days. So what that's going to say is whenever the box gets into the follow-up stage, my task is going to be due 3 days from whenever it entered that next stage. So that just gives me a little time to, maybe I get ahead of that follow-up. Maybe I, wait the full 3 days. The task isn't due until 3 days from now. And then I could also assign it to myself or someone else on my team. Cool, so the task is great, but there's one more thing we can do to automate this even further. So if I go back in here and select more actions, I can actually add box contacts to mail merge. Excuse me. So what's that's going to do is going to allow me to select a pre-created mail merge. I actually don't have any mail merges here in this pipeline, I realize, but if I did, I could select this dropdown, and it would, all my pre-created mail merges, I could select one, and then any contacts that are in the box in that needs follow-up stage, it would automatically send that mail merge from them. So when I click create a mail merge here, it directs me to how to create a mail merge in Streak, which is great if you've never created a mail merge before for follow-up. Again, we have a couple more classes that can kind of walk you through that. But if I had an existing mail merge that I was already using to follow up with leads, this is where I could fill in the variables from that mail merge. So maybe there's some things in my pipeline that you can see here about, deal size or the service you're interested in. So I could pull in, hey, Steve Jobs at Apple, Lowell here from Streak. I know you were interested in our PR services. Are you still interested in receiving a quote for that? And that mail merge would send automatically. And not only would it send the initial message in that mail merge sequence, but it would also send kind of all those subsequent follow-ups as we have them constructed. All right, any questions there? I know that was a lot and a lot of like rather specific steps. Go back to the chat
here. Chat is active. I might be behind a little bit. Let me see if any questions.
We'll definitely get the chat transcript afterwards, and happy to follow up with individual questions that folks have kind of one-on-one.
Yeah, here's one for you, Lowell, on automations. Can the task be automated based on a form field date?
Yeah, definitely. If there is any date field in your pipeline, so let's say you had the form field date from like a Google form or something like that, and you fed that information to your pipeline, then we would be able to reference the task due date in creating the task via this automation. Or sorry, whatever the due date was in your form, we'd be able to reference that.
We also have a request. Let me make sure I'm not gonna. Okay, one automation question, then we have a save view request. Jonathan's wondering where you draft the email that will be, where do you draft the email for an automation?
Got it.
Sorry, I understand the question. Where, yeah, like if you want to send an email, where does that happen?
Definitely. So here back in my pipeline, there's this mail merges tab. So I can go here and create the mail merge. And so then once I create this mail merge, let me see if I can do it really quick, actually. Test. It's going to take a little bit too much time because I'll have to choose from a pipeline. But basically, I would create the mail merge here. It would give me the option to create follow-ups as well. And then you would see that as my mail merges here. And then when I went back to my pipeline here and tried to go back to it really quick, automate the mail merge step, I would see it from that drop down. It would show the mail merge that I just created. There's also one more I want to show you all. So there's kind of two ways of sending emails in a high volume fashion at Streak. One is mail merge, which is a bit more custom. You can add follow-ups to it and some other things. It's kind of what we recommend. But we also have this concept of sending a snippet, which is just a one-off email. And you can also use that in Streak, and you can create those straight from your Gmail Compose window. Both of those are available as actions here for your automations. Okay, I'm going to go back to the presentation. We're going to do another couple minutes here and then open it up to any more questions we have for the last 5 minutes or so.
Deal.
One thing I wanted to point out is this should run field here in any automation. This allows you to get super custom in filtering whether you want your automation to always run or whether it should only run for when certain conditions are met. So for example, in that scenario I was just walking through, maybe we actually only want to follow up. Maybe me, Lowell, I'm the paid ads expert at this agency. And so I'm the only one that should be following up with Apple if they're interested in paid ads. So I only want my task to be created or my follow-up to run if the account is interested in paid ads. So I can reference any field in my pipeline. So back here in this pipeline, we had a tab called interested in. I think we actually changed the name of it. It's services now. And you can see what services they're interested in. So I could reference this and say, only run that automation if the services is equal to paid ads. And so in any automation that we have, there's going to be this should run step under control. So I can open that up and enter some simple commands here to dictate whether or not this should always run or whether it should only run, for example, when the services is equal to paid ads, let's say. And then it will default to true or false based on what we see up here in the actual box. Cool. Okay, and then there's one more automation I wanted to cover at a high level. Mary, I think this was the one, I believe it was Mary that brought up kind of at the beginning. What happens if a recipient replies to my mail merge? How do I ensure that I stop sending to them or I start sending to them? Maybe it's a different mail merge. We have a mail merge recipient reply trigger. So what you can do is anytime you have a recipient reply to initial mail merge, you can change the box stage. So let's say I wanted to change it. They replied to, my mail merge about receiving a quote. Great, it sounds like they're interested. Now we're in the negotiation stage. And I could also have a separate automation that runs that says, stop sending the mail merge when it is in that negotiation stage. And then again, kind of like the previous automations, we could add a task here that Andrew, he's the expert on this account, so we're going to have him call to follow up with this lead. Cool, so that's kind of what I wanted to walk you all through today. Again, a few different ways you can use Streak to make sure you're following up with leads. A different customer might have different needs, and even in different pipelines, you might want to use one of these over the other. Cool, real quick before we dive into questions, we do have some more upcoming classes. Automating your outreach, for those of you who are really interested in the mail merges, that would be a great one to attend. That's where we're going to walk through kind of some more mail merge specific automations. And then we have a Streak 101 one if you're just starting out with Streak, and a few others you can see here. Streak.com/classes where you can sign up for any of those. All right,
Lowell, I'll answer a couple of questions from chat while
great.
we have ask a favor of you. There was a request to go back to save views and hit the show in inbox option and demo that. While you do that, I'll answer a couple of questions. Philippe, you have, or Philip, perhaps, will the recording be sent to us via email? It will. Everyone who is here, you will get a recording. Robert and Salima had two mail merge questions. Is mail merge better than snippets for any reason? They are sort of similar. They both have a saved text component. Snippets are just saved text, and you can call them via a hotkey and insert them, and you'll get the full text in there. Mail merge is the ability to scale your outreach to up to 1,500 people today. So you'd write per day, per 24-hour period. So you'd write the message once, and then select a list of up to 1,500 people from your pipeline or from a CSV, and then that list would go out once, and you could have up to 10 automated follow-ups based off of a cadence. The other major differentiator there is snippets do not support variables. Mail merges do. So an example of the most classic example of a variable in a mail merge would be hello, comma, first name variable. And then when it goes to Robert, it says hello, Robert. And when it goes to Salima, it says hello, Salima. So they are sort of related in the sense that like they both have a feature that allows you to access previously saved texts, but that after that, they're snippets are one-off, and mail merge is you're scaling your email and have a couple more features. Salima, that's a good question. You asked sending mail merge. How can we ensure that email does not fall into the spam folder? I actually have a reference for you, so I'll start. We'll follow up afterwards, and I'll start there. Casey has a request to. Actually, I'm not sure I understood, Tracy. Casey, the trigger is advanced, especially with a formula. There's a lot on automations for sure that we could get into, and there's a request to learn more about automations. We have some good support content that we can include, as well as future classes. If this was helpful, then we're having a good time too, and we'd love to do more. Okay, I don't want to keep talking, so there's a couple more things I'll drop in chat here. Looks like Lowell's ready. You're on mute, Lowell.
Thank you. Yeah, apologies, I forgot who asked the question initially, but I went back to my pipeline here and I created this industry saved view where I was just looking for specific industries. So it was whether I think it's pretty much all of them in my pipeline. Where's the industry? Oh, technology, media, things like that. And so where the show in inbox shows up is here's my inbox. Normally it would just be all these emails, but here I can see marketing agency industry saved view, and it's showing all of the boxes that filter. So if I wanted to, we at Streak use this, the follow-up needs follow-up kind of idea for a save view quite frequently. Maybe in our hiring process, we want to make sure that we're staying on top of all the new applications we received over the weekend. And so those would all appear here. I could then just click into the box. And if this box had an email associated with it or maybe a comment, it would show up here. Great. I know we're at time. I think we've got a lot of questions that we received in the chat. I think Andrew's did a great job and got to most of them. But again, we'll print out this transcript, and any that we didn't get to, we'd be happy to follow up with you all afterwards. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming, everyone. Staying engaged. We really appreciate it. Like we said, there's more future classes and some great support content from our knowledge base as well on many of these topics. But yeah, thanks so much. We really appreciate you coming out. Have a good one.